Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we are going to be talking about Bitcoin and talking about why I believe that we're going to be seeing the next breakout, making a move all the way up to $48,500. We've been talking a lot about Bitcoin and how it looks just like that 2019 cycle as we made our final run to $14,000. I believe Bitcoin is making a much bigger impulse to come, and we're only just getting started with a lot of these altcoin profits. We're also going to be breaking down one altcoin that I think has one of the best narratives behind it that could potentially play out in some of the biggest gains, even though a lot of people doubt it long term. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so I wanted to talk a little bit about this consolidation and more or less why I believe that we're still going to end up seeing that breakout up to $48,500. To me, that's been the area I've always targeted ever since we first broke out of this 25k resistance. And you guys know ever since watching my channel that we've pretty much just stuck to the same plan, always looking at either 40,000 or 48,500. And I think that with this next breakout, we're obviously going to tag 40,000, but I do still think that we're going to end up coming all the way to the top of the lower high, being 48,500. So that's what I'm watching for moving forward. And the real main reason, I was looking at this sort of projection was a lot to do with our price action seen in that last cycle of 2019. And this was the fractal that we were drawing, was more or less just talking about this sort of blow off top. And I think that this is a very important thing to talk about just because of the way the price action today looks. It's pretty much the same. So this is kind of what I was talking about. This consolidation that we saw where it looks like a head and shoulder top, only for the market to just keep breaking out and catch everybody surprise. I think that the price is just right here, right before we make that final breakout and we make that final stretch back up to the top of that lower high. The consolidation looks the same. The only question that I have is because it took 200 days consolidating here, I wonder what the correction to follow after this move comes to be. Because what we've noticed in prior cycles has been that we've built some type of uptrend, right? And so far, this has been our uptrend to begin the cycle. We've always had some type of uptrend to begin the cycle, and a lot of the times, once we make these impulses, we actually see sell-offs where they come back down to retest those and come for a little bit more consolidation before making the next higher high. And so I'm wondering if this cycle is going to behave a little bit more how prior ones did, or maybe we don't come all the way back down and retest the trend line. Maybe we hold support up here a little bit better. It's kind of hard to say, and I'm not trying to predict it necessarily. The big thing that we've been watching for has always been the move to the top of that lower high and then a pullback. So we want to be at least aware that we're probably going to be experiencing a pullback relatively soon. And the best thing, like I said, is always to hold long-term. Keep portions that you're just sticking into your long-term bags that you don't touch, because if it ends up outperforming in bigger ways, it surpasses all expectations and things like that happen. You don't want to be the guy that has to regret all of the profits you've taken early on. But when we're coming up to the top of this resistance, any short-term stuff, any altcoins you just recently bought that you've made a lot of profit, I would highly recommend at least just locking some of that profit up, because you might as well. I mean, there's no sense in just not doing that. I think it's a better thing to do that, especially with shorter time frame stuff, and leave the whatever you decided that's in your long-term holds just alone. Just let that sit and ride. But if we do see a correction like I talked about, where we do come somehow all the way back down to this trend line, that would be more consistent with some of those prior cycles. The only one that differed was this last one, and the way it differed was just the COVID black swan, right? I don't even think that this would have necessarily happened had we have not had COVID. But all the other cycles, they kind of began this new uptrend, and then they just kind of rode that uptrend until they went to new all-time highs. So we don't know how this cycle is going to behave, whether it's going to just kind of follow the same sort of consolidation where we just kind of ride on that new trend line into new all-time highs. But so far, we've established a very solid trend line. And I think that that's the most important thing that we need to remember as we come up into the top of this move. If we do see a deeper correction back down, it could be a pretty big correction to come all the way back down and retest. It would pretty much be the retest of the highs at $31,300. And that would perfectly come right at that same trend line. So both of these would be coming back down and converging at the same point. It's just a signal to be watching for And I think that that's what we would be paying attention for long term as well. You know, a lot of altcoins look bullish, and I wanted to talk a little bit about which altcoin I think is actually really undervalued versus where it's going to be catching up very soon. So we all still have a really good opportunity of actually getting into this before the real upside sets in. So the coin I wanted to talk a little bit about today is Dogecoin, and the reason I wanted to talk about it had everything to do with it's still just in the early stages of breaking out. It's actually doing really well today. We're actually starting to see it make a new high. And so as we're looking at this, in my opinion, we're just in the early stages of this new uptrend, and we're going to see this thing break out in a much bigger way. And it has a lot to do with the fact it's got its little narrative behind it around Elon Musk, and he's obviously still attached and pumping the coin. So they've actually got the approval to send a physical Dogecoin to the moon, like actually do this somehow. And Elon is obviously helping to some degree, and that apparently that's what their plan is. And so you got to expect that the price of Dogecoin is going to go up if Elon Musk is doing all of this stuff just to promote Dogecoin. As silly as it is, these are the emotional narratives that we talk about. Emotions drive price. Emotions drive markets. And so if we're going to see these markets go up, it's silly narratives and ingenious narratives that, you know, ultimately drive the prices of crypto. It's tokenomics and a good marketing team. All of these different strategies ultimately drive the prices. And a lot of it has more to do with emotion, because when we see in the bear market, once the markets start crashing, we see these things retrace 90, 95, 99+%. And it's obvious to tell that most of that money was just there emotionally and was, you know, there short term. So that has to all rinse out. Now that we're at the bottom of this cycle, we've seen Dogecoin literally accumulating here for, you know, 500 plus days, as a lot of them have. Dogecoin always lags, right? It's always one of the laggards to begin the cycle. And as it's sitting here 533 days now, this thing is now just barely getting to that point of flipping these resistance levels. And some of the main ones that we're going to be looking at, if we come over here and look at a log chart, if we look at our all-time descending resistance of our bear market, you're going to see that this breakout right here, this is our entire bottom consolidation, right? So when we're looking at this thing, I'm drawing the resistance there because the top of that lower high is there. Even though we have more resistance like right here, I think that the main resistance is the top of this lower high, and that's our entire bottom formation that we've really built, was centered around that, because that's where we broke out of, and we've just came all the way down to retest trending support and the bear market bottom. So now that we're at this point of flipping that, I do believe that once we flip the top of this, we're really going to the top of that lower high, being all the way over here at 35 cents. So don't be surprised if we saw something like that. We finally get above this level, and then we see some big push all the way to the top of that lower high before a deeper correction sets in of some kind. I think that that really could be something that plays out with Dogecoin, and a lot of it just has to do with the fact that this top of the lower high pretty much takes us to the very bottom of the lower high that we began the bear market. So when we're looking at this, in my opinion, that's the next area where we're going to end up flipping it when we do take another leg up. As crazy as it seems, when we pull out to a log scale, it puts it into perspective a little bit more. Because when we come back into a normal scale, this looks tiny, and then it seems really crazy to come all the way up to here. But if we flip this level, we're most likely going to come all the way up to there. So it's just something to put into perspective around that log scale, because it helps us to visualize where the true bottom is and where these levels are level to level. So with Dogecoin having this narrative, one of the other main narratives that I do see playing out in this cycle is the fact that Dogecoin is going to become the payment system of Twitter and X. So we have to remember that that's going to be something that's huge, and fundamentally that's something that's significant aside from just, you know, pump-a-mentals, right? Talking about all the silly funny stuff with them sending a physical Dogecoin, even though Dogecoin's digital, right? It's just silly type of narratives, but that's an actual narrative that is somewhat significant. I mean, even if Twitter became like a semi-significant payment system and a financial app, and I bet once it moves and pivots completely towards being like Robinhood, but then adopting all of what it plans, because you guys got to understand that what Elon Musk is building X to do is it's a complete financial app. You're going to be able to do like Robinhood trading, but then it's going to be social media on top of that. So it's going to be a completely all-in-one purpose. You could go shopping online like Amazon. You could do anything you want to, check your banks and do those. It's like an all-in-one purpose app. So that's what his vision is. So if that becomes Dogecoin becomes the payment system of that, we have to understand that this was 100% going to go into a new cycle. And he's only ever continued to talk about that. He's only ever continued to talk good about Dogecoin. So we have to understand that it's going to go into a new cycle. And the reason why I'm personally invested into this isn't that I hold spot Dogecoin, and I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I don't own spot Dogecoin. I do have low leverage positions in Dogecoin, and that's been one of my most profitable setups in prior cycles, has been accumulating low leverage positions at the very bottom of the cycles and then just simply holding them into the new bull market. Take a little bit of profits as we come up to these resistance levels, but then maintain a bag that you always sit on the long term, because that's always going to be the best strategy to make profit long term. I think that it's just a way to maximize your personal portfolio. You know, if you have a small amount of portfolio that you can't really do a lot with, or if you just have a lot sitting in certain things, it's not a bad idea to take 500 bucks, 1,000 bucks, 2,000 bucks, whatever it is, and then just take a very low leverage long, being like 2 to 3x, and then being able to hold that months and months if your exchange actually has the profitable fees. So if you guys do want to be able to do a little bit of this, I'll leave an exchange link below where I actually leverage trade on a decentralized exchange. You do, if you're an American, you have to have a VPN, so you have to be aware of that. But it's a really good place, and I've noticed that they seem to have the best DEX liquidity that I've noticed when it comes to trading perpetuals. The only downside is they don't have a significant amount of tokens, but there's enough tokens that you can find good trades, and they do have Dogecoin. So if you do want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description for you guys to go ahead and sign up on their exchange. But anyways, thank you guys so much. This is the video I had for you. If you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these updates. If you guys want to join the Discord server, see how I'm investing, see where we initially took all of these trades, because all the trades that I've been taking into Dogecoin have been posted inside of my group. So if you guys ever want to get access to that, this is the last day of my discount for the Black Friday sale. So make sure you guys get access to it. I'm not going to be running one for quite a while. So links are in the description. Thank you all so much. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.